everybody, and welcome to another edition of Double Play CLE. Paul here alongside Jay. And we are joined again by our good friend Jeff Kirby from the Jeff Kirby Project. Nope, that's not right. What is the name of your show again?
That was my former show.
I know.
The Renegade Roundtable podcast, which ironically for the first time is actually going to mean something in this episode.
Fair enough. And I guess it was just me flashing back to the fact that the Double Play CLE podcast first originated 5 years ago today, of the day that we're recording. It kind of flashed back to 5 years ago there for a minute.
Yeah, ironically also it's ironic for me because I want to say like a week or two later is when I met you guys. I made my debut in the history of life of doing podcasting / radio, whatever. And then that led to me doing with what I do now. So it's always a fun time thinking about that. And it's crazy to think it's been 5 years already.
It's three individuals that you would never think would have met. And now here we are on a podcast 5 years later, having been to what, five ballparks together now?
I have a lot that I can say, not about you guys, but I have a lot I could say right now, but I'm not going to do that.
That's fair. Because Just is sitting here waiting desperately for his DoorDash to come through.
I'm just sitting here.
All right, guys, we're less than a month away from the end of the 2023 MLB regular season. We were in Cleveland for the Saturday game against Tampa, the ridiculous game with the ridiculous walk-off and the worst umpiring in the history of umpiring from CB Bucknor. That's a whole other can of worms that we can get into.
But actually, you know what? I have something on him from that game.
Oh, okay. Go right ahead.
So
was he great? Is that what we're going to find out? He was actually a god?
No, his overall accuracy was a 90%, which is, it looks like 2.5 to 3% below average of Major League Baseball umpires this year. Overall consistency is 89%. The average is 94. So he was 5% below the average consistency. Ironically, the overall favor was plus 1.26 runs for Cleveland in that game.
That's because he couldn't take away the one that Bo Naylor got us.
And so he was right on average in terms of called balls accuracy, but in terms of called strikes accuracy, he was only at 78%, which is 10% less. 13 of 60 called strikes were true balls. And a lot of them were consistent of if you are a left-handed hitter inside or if you are a right-handed hitter outside.
Yeah, that's because I stands off center. I don't understand how that's even legal for him to stand off center.
It was weird because left-handed pitchers, he was getting it right more frequently.
Listen, I'm not good at left hand, right hand off the top of my head, which side he stands on to know which side is better for him to call. But I know he stands off center, which I don't understand how that's, in my opinion, even legal.
To show you guys, this is what it looks like. So,
wow, you can actually see that on the screen there. Hot dog.
So, like
that website, by the way, that's MLB umpire scoreboards or something like that.
Umpscorecards.com.
Yeah. And you should definitely check that out if you're a diehard baseball fan, because it'll tell you who the good umpires are and who are the CB Bucknors, the Angel Hernandezes. I'm not sure what the plural of Hernandez is.
Well, the only problem with that is in a year or two, that app's going to be obsolete. So
it's not going to take that long. There's a reason I don't own a Tesla, and it's not because of money.
I was just talking about the fact that you don't need that for robo-umps.
That's a fair point, too. I think we're pretty much at the point now where there's no argument. We need to get rid of these umpires. They should not be given the power that they're given. I've said that many times on this podcast and on other podcasts. The umpire should not have the right to eject. CB Bucknor was getting calls blatantly wrong and ran Tampa Bay manager Kevin Cash out of the game, which, if you recall, I said as soon as he came out, he was getting ejected because he was arguing a balls and strikes call. That's an immediate automatic ejection. You're done. But he had a right to argue. If the umpire is getting it so damn wrong that you can look on a screen on ESPN.com and see on the strike zone that the strike call is 3 feet off the plate in the other batter's box, that should overrule the automatic ejection.
If you want to look at why he got ejected, it was because he came out and argued the automatic ball. And if you want to go back and look at the play, he was right. Andres Jimenez didn't step into the box until about 8 seconds on the counter left.
And this has been a big issue that we're having with
should have been a strike on us. Buckner
yes.
called on him, gave him a ball, and his manager came out the damn near better of, because that was all they were going to get out of that whole game. There was a couple things. I went back and watched the highlights. I wish we would have actually talked about the game before just diving into the ump stuff. But
well, it's CB Bucknor. You could argue anything about CB Bucknor.
I went back and looked at the highlights and stuff like that. And a lot of the times the Rays were mad, they had a reason to be. And they were right. What's the other one I wanted to mention? The Quan strike was also the right call. As much as we want to boo it, as much as I booed the living shit out of it sitting there, the Quan strike was the right call. Now, it's easy to say that considering he got a hit directly after that, and then we won the game. Sure, easy to say that. You know what I mean? But, like, it was definitely right because we didn't get Tana out onto the field until, like, 10 seconds into the pitch clock. Now, in my opinion, this is something that gets a little gray for me because we're not talking about the pitching here. We're talking about making decisions and talking about making pinch runs and stuff. So now you're telling me managers have to make those decisions within 20 seconds for it to be legal now?
That's tough.
Whole nother can of worms. That's what I'm saying. Whole nother can of worms there. I'm just saying that's also out on the table now because now Quan got a strike because Tito took or whoever. I'm not blaming Tito or Quan, whatever. But whoever took too long, maybe it was Tana, whoever took too long to get out to the field and it gave Quan a strike. You'll never know if Jeff is awake or if he's sleeping. Forward.
Well, let's put this out there because I think a lot of people are sleeping on what this game meant. And a lot of people are talking like, oh, this wasn't that big of a game for Tampa. No, it really was because whoever comes out of the American League East could very well be the number one seed in the American League, which gives you home field all throughout the American League playoffs. Tampa, as of this recording, is only 3 games back of Baltimore.
2.5.
2.5, my apologies. And there's not much time left.
2.5.
We're less than 30 games away from the end of the regular season. So Tampa Bay fighting and clawing to get whatever they can out of this series against Cleveland, which they got one. They got the Sunday game. You can't fault Tampa Bay for their approach. The question becomes, what did Cleveland learn from this? Because Cleveland is not going to the postseason.
Well, I mean, you can never say never, as the wise words of Justin Bieber once said. I mean, you still have a 5.5% chance, but we'll get into that actually here when we talk about the next series coming up. But
did you just quote Justin Bieber on my podcast?
Yes, I did.
Our podcast, and it's allowed.
Boom.
What? That's a 1-to-1 vote.
Exactly. Then you don't get ruling majority. Therefore, no law gets wrote about it at all.
Boom.
Damn you.
But here's the thing, though, that's annoying about the Guardians today is the fact, well, actually, technically yesterday, The part that's annoying is you had an opportunity to take a full game because with Minnesota losing, it's like, okay, you have Minnesota coming up for 3. This series is the most important series that you're going to have all year long because this is going to determine whether you're really going to have a shot or not. If you were able to win this game against the Rays on Sunday and you were able to now get the 4 games back, if you're able to take 2 of 3 or even somehow get the sweep, you're only 1-2 games out. Now you're really in it. But now you're in a position where even if you sweep Minnesota, you're still now you get the series win, which is going to be nice, but it doesn't help the fact you're still going to be 2 games out. And you look at I'm pulling up the schedule right now for the Guardians for the rest of the year. You have it's a brutal schedule. I mean, you have 3 at home versus Minnesota. Then you have 4 against the Angels. Okay. Then you go to San Fran. Oh, so you're at LA for 4. Then at 3 at San Francisco. Then Texas. Then you got to deal with Baltimore for 4. I mean, that's a brutal schedule.
Is it though?
I mean, you look at Texas. Texas is a very good team.
How far ahead?
You said what?
How far ahead is Texas?
In terms of what? A wild card?
Texas is only a game back of Seattle and tied with Houston for the American League West. The American League West, by the way, is where it's going to be fun. If you're a big baseball fan, that's where you want to be watching this year because you've got Seattle, Texas, and Houston all battling. One of those teams isn't going to make it. I know that sounds weird with having 3 wild cards, but it really feels like whoever loses out on the first wild card spot out of the AL West is going to lose out entirely. And I'm really hoping it's Houston.
So whoever wins the AL West, you think the AL Central could beat them in a series?
No.
Because the Twins just beat the Rangers in a series.
I think with pressure in the games and every pitch mattering, no, I don't think Minnesota's a better team than Texas.
Every pitch mattering?
Right now, Minnesota's just playing with house money. They're 5 games up.
No.
They've got
where
20-some games to go.
I don't know if mattering's a word.
Mattering. We make shit up here.
No, we don't. We speak facts.
Damn you.
That was a terrible thing to don't get this fucking guy out of here. We don't make shit up.
I'm gone. Bye-bye.
But I mean, getting back into this real quick is, look, your next 7 games are at home versus Minnesota. The last time you're going to see Minnesota all year. And then 4 at LA to face the Angels, a team that has become an absolute dumpster fire. So
a literal dumpster fire, a literal fire sale with the Angels. So it's
these next 7 games.
If you don't win this, it's over.
Listen, the best case scenario, you go 5-2 in this, but you have to get 2 at minimum, 2 out of 3 against Minnesota. If you only go 1-2 against Minnesota, then you're just digging yourself even deeper in a hole, and it's not going to be much you'll be able to get out.
We're nearly to the point where every game is must win, and that's not a good situation to be in if you're trying to make the postseason.
We're nearly to the point. I definitely think we're at that point.
There's still a tiny bit of wiggle room, but it's getting close now. The fact that as of right now, the only team in the American League Central with a plus run differential is Minnesota kind of sucks. I remember we were talking about the American League Central being that exciting division, and it's just been dreadful.
It's, you know what, in the NFL, put it in NFL terms, the AL Central is the 2023 version of the NFC South.
Who's in the South?
You said what?
Who's in the NFC South?
The Falcons, the Panthers, the Bucks, and the Saints.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, listen, put it in perspective, last year, the team that won the division last year, in the NFC South had an 8-9 record. They were under 500.
Hold on. I'm trying to think I don't even know who won that. Who are the teams?
You have the Saints, the Falcons, the Panthers, and the Buccaneers.
The Falcons?
Incorrect.
Then the Saints.
Incorrect.
Oh,
Was it the Bucks?
That just proves your point because I don't fucking know.
The Paul is correct. It was
Bucks?
the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won last year with an 8-9 record.
I didn't even that. Okay, I do remember. Now that you said that sentence, I remember.
Because it was weird at the fact that, they were hosting the Dallas Cowboys in a playoff game on Wild Card Weekend when Dallas had a way better record than them.
Their quarterback?
Who? At last year?
Yeah.
Last year was still Brady.
Oh, was it? Oh, yeah. Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, last year was Brady. And, and then Tampa Bay got obliterated, and that ended up being the final goodbye for the good old TB12.
What a dumbass. You should have just left on the Super Bowl.
I do want to get back to one thing here because I'm looking at the stats here, and
We veered off straight from baseball completely.
I know, and we'll talk a little football here because it is opening week
best
in the NFL, and we are in Cleveland, Ohio. So I guess we're obligated to talk about the Browns for a little bit. But the number one team, the best winning percentage right now in the American League. Anybody got a guess?
in the American League.
Uh-huh.
Which league is Atlanta in?
That's the National League.
Because I'm pretty sure they're number one. Who's the leader in the American League?
Yeah, National League is Atlanta.
Where are the Dodgers?
It's a team that we're going to be facing here in
Dodgers?
the near future. Are you talking? You said for the AL, right?
Baltimore.
Yeah.
It's
It's
Baltimore.
Baltimore. Who is
They're
currently
at 625 win percentage, 85 and 51. That is unbelievable. Who had Baltimore at the top of the American League East, the Yankees at the bottom of the American League East? Hey, that gives me a quick second to say, fuck the Yankees.
They say it to themselves right now. It's okay.
The only thing that sucks is that the Mets are also not at the bottom of their division. I want both New York teams just completely out of it. That fan base, that state does not deserve the baseball that they've gotten.
I got a simple question for y'all because I don't want to say an argument. It was just a simple debate earlier today. Do you think Francisco Lindor is having a record year? Because that was the argument, and I was just like, the dude has like the same batting average as Miles Straw last time I checked.
Record, no, but I think he's having a career year. He's definitely had a career resurgence compared to when he kind of fell apart for the Mets. It's tough because the Mets themselves fell apart.
Same guy told me Francisco Lindor was his cousin, that he plays Xbox with Roberto Perez all the time. So I was
Lindor, to put this in perspective, on the year has a 249 batting average, 25 homers, 81 RBIs with an OPS of 790.
I could have done that, Jeff. I had it all up here. It was my freaking segment.
You know what? But to say it's a career resurgence, and I can't even say that because last year he went for over 100 RBIs and still had, But
you kind of expect that from him now. He's getting paid what is it, 100 million? No, 60 million, 50, 70. He's getting paid way more than he probably should have because of what he did in Cleveland for a team that wasn't going to make it. It should have. You had Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander as your 1 and 2, and none of those guys had any camaraderie. That team didn't have any chemistry whatsoever.
Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander aren't. Max Scherzer ain't shit. Justin Verlander.
If I told you that we could get those two pitchers for free right now and put them on our team, you would take them immediately.
For free?
For free.
stupid. Like, why the fuck wouldn't I? That's stupid.
It's
But
that's
not they
the
get them
point.
for. They didn't get them for free.
Of course not. They paid a shitload of money. That's what you have to do in baseball.
Now, I personally, and this is not me being a homer, and this is prior to this year before you hit me with injuries and shit like that. If you're going to ask me at the beginning of this year if I wanted Max Scherzer or Tristan McKenzie as my ace, you tell me my fucking answer.
That is homerism. Come on now.
No, it's fucking not. Are you crazy? The dude averaged like 8 Ks a fucking game. Max Scherzer's been doing what?
He has a proven track record.
Oh, exactly. And Tristan McKenzie's young and he's already striking out 8 players a game? Get the hell out of here. Yeah, right. That's whatever. Call me a homer then. I'm taking Tristan McKenzie. Would I take Shane Bieber over Max Scherzer? I don't know. Any other pitcher? I don't know. But Tristan McKenzie, 100%. You're crazy to watch what that 24-year-old did and say you wouldn't keep him as your ace. Until he proves otherwise, there's no reason to not think so.
And it's going to be interesting to see how he returns in 2024.
Which is why I put that on top of it, because being a whole year away is definitely not what I wanted from him. So
No.
And I thought he chose not to get surgery so he could come back. What is going on? I'm so confused.
There's a lot of confusion in the Cleveland Guardians team. That's kind of part of the problem. We don't know what's going to happen with Tito, Shane Bieber, Tristan McKenzie.
He chose not to have surgery so that way he could be back before the season was over.
I think he did choose to elect against surgery, but I think they shut him down.
Shut him down what?
Basically saying he's not going to pitch this season.
That's redundant. Why? So we paid him to not go fix himself and to not play.
It's a catch-22. You take that risk. I think they thought that the injury wasn't as bad as it may have turned out to be. This is the problem with injuries in baseball. We won't know it's a serious injury until they fix it, in most cases. I mean, a broken leg, you can look at that and go, broken leg, that's a problem. Tears or strains in the ligaments, that could go any number of ways. Hell, one of the best pitchers in baseball about a decade ago was Matt Harvey. And look at his career after all of his ligament injuries. He never bounced back again. Point is, I love Tristan McKenzie. I've loved Tristan McKenzie almost as much as you have. I'm very worried that he's not going to come back the same pitcher.
He won't. It's damn near impossible. He won't. And I say that in hopes that I'm wrong.
I hope you're wrong too.
You know what? I have something that I'm going to say, and I kind of hope I am wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to reiterate something that I told you guys yesterday on the way to the game. I'm going to give some inside scoop that I got for some people that I actually do trust about what's going on with the Guardians organization in terms of Tito. So what I have been told was he's teetering around with a couple different ideas because he doesn't want to fully retire, but what he's teetering around the idea of taking just a year off and then coming back so he can recover from his shoulder surgeries and just deal with that. The other thing that he's trying to that he's teetering around with is doing this weird thing of him being the home manager and then having someone be the away manager, because a lot of it is just the traveling is what's killing him. And what I will say is people are saying, okay, say he does retire. If they stay in-house, I was told that it's not going to be Mike Sarbaugh. I was told it was not going to be Sandy Alomar. I was told it was going to be DeMarlo Hale. If they stay in-house, it will be DeMarlo Hale.
So, couple points. One, if you have to take a year off as a manager, to let your shoulder heal, that's not the real story.
I'm just saying this is what I've been told from someone within the organization.
Responding to it.
Oh, okay.
I just don't. There's no way that it takes a year for your shoulder to heal, not doing any physical. No, like he's not in the game. He's not pitching against. Like I don't like. Tell me if I'm wrong. Which I'm sure he might do like a dad tossing back with the guys, but he's not the pitching coach. He's not the batting coach. Like he's not doing any of this physical work. And on top of it all, if we knew that about him, I'm sure we wouldn't ask him to do any of the physical work. The whole on-off thing is a little goofy to me, but I wouldn't be against it. That's all I got to say. And I know Paul's going to come around and say that the MLB probably won't allow it, which is ridiculous. I just can't. I can understand why, because the MLB and how they run stuff and, communism and shit, but like, it doesn't just.
What?
Doesn't make sense. Like it doesn't like reach a point of, well, we don't want to do this because of A, B, and C, and it being like, okay, those actually make sense. Well, we don't want to do this because, well, fuck you, we just don't want to allow it. That's probably what it's going to be. So,
I just want to state you use the word communism on Double Play CLE.
Communism. You do what I say or you get the fuck out. That's communism. So, dictatorship, whatever have you. So,
I don't know what the hell this one is.
I don't even remember what my other point was.
I'm probably glad about that.
I mean, it was I had the shoulder thing, and then I did the on-off thing wouldn't really bother me, but
I like the idea of him being a home manager. I think that works. If it's all about physical therapy, you can get the best physical therapy at the Cleveland Clinic.
Yeah, I'm sure there's no other hospitals anywhere else you could go lift a couple of weights in.
Well, we could just get some weights and have Tito swing by your house once a day if you're good with that.
Nice. I'll take care of this problem quicker than they can.
Jesus Christ. I was looking up some statistics there while all of that was going on. I want to point out DeMarlo Hale, in his time with the then Cleveland Indians as manager, 65 games, 31-34, finished second with a 477 win percentage. He has managed the Toronto Blue Jays in 2015 and 2016 in very, very limited time. 1-0 in 2015, 2-1 in 2016. But his overall career as a manager is 69 games. God bless America. 34-35 with a win percentage of 493. That's not acceptable.
That's literally the fucking season we're having right now. Numbers.
Yes, we're trying to do better. If you're saying we're having a terrible
whole season, you've defended Tito, and you're literally going to tell me you don't want this coach that's going to give us the exact same record we have right now.
But yet again, you want to say, you could say that, but at the end of the day, when you look at what he's been dealt in terms of having his whole practice, let's talk about the week. The beginning of the year rotation. Is there a single fucking pitcher that is pitching right now for this organization? Like,
what?
If you'd asked that question,
it's not our fault. We traded one.
It's not his fault either.
Traded one of them away. So what year did he coach Cleveland then?
2021.
Okay, so he had the same fucking team that Tito had?
Oh, no, let's be honest. Oh, wait. What are we talking about?
DeMarlo Hale versus Tito in 2021.
I'm trying to remember what all exactly happened in 2021. I'm legitimately trying to. And listen, and I'm one of the people that say Tito defender. I'm not. I mean, DeMarlo Hale, whatever. I personally don't want them to do anything within house. I want them to go and look outside of the organization. If they're going to look for anything in terms of a manager, that's what I want them to do. I want them to stick outside.
So yes, he had the same team that Tito had. Just want y'all to answer my question.
He had a similar team, not the same team.
He had literally the exact same team. So when he stopped managing, who managed after him?
Tito.
Okay. All right, continue. I just don't. There's no. You're complaining about a manager with an under 500 record while we sit under 500.
I say you must have been talking about Paulie complaining because I didn't complain about DeMarlo Hale.
I don't want DeMarlo Hale.
I don't even know the guy, if I'm being honest. I don't know who the fuck that is. I don't. Like, I didn't watch super closely before like 2-3 years ago. So I do remember this was the stint where Tito left, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So yes, I do remember this. But I remember the name now that we talk about it more. I don't know. Managers to me, and I don't want to say they're a dime a dozen because they're not. They are not. But I almost feel like they're luck. You either know how to manage a club or you don't. I don't know. I guess I can't really speak on this so much. I'm just saying, all I'm saying is Paul was bitching about this guy having a sub 500 record while we sit at a sub 500 record. That was all I had to say. That was it.
I also think part of the issue too is, like I said, when you look at this, and I'm talking strictly this year for Tito, for an example, when you go into a season Shane Bieber, who now not pitching, and probably we'll see if he's going to pitch the rest of the year. Tristan McKenzie's been hurt. He's pitched 2 starts. Cal Quantrill he's been hurt all year, or not all year, but as of late he's been hurt.
Get rid of him.
I can agree with that. Savali, yes, you did trade him, but I can admit I was okay with that because of where the season was going at the time. I was okay with that. So there's number 4, and then you have number 5 and Tristan McKenzie, who has. Oh wait, did I say him already?
You did.
Okay, so
Plesac. You don't even remember
Plesac, who has been garbage. So when you have to bring in guys like Tanner Bybee and Logan Allen and guys like that to pitch when you were not expecting them to pitch all year like the way they did, it's just, what do you expect? I mean, you can't have that. Name any team that's going to literally, from the beginning of the year to now, we're at September 4th, and they literally lost their entire rotation, and to only be 5 games back is honestly insane.
Don't throw the only 5 games back like we don't play in the AL Central, homie. Like, I'm with you, but we play in the AL Central. Like,
it don't matter. It doesn't matter.
You 100% right, buddy. The only thing is you want to throw at what team is going to lose their rotation. Well, guess what? We have to deal with that because we're not the Dodgers that can go, well, doesn't matter if this guy's hurt. We'll just go buy this guy and this guy and this guy. That we have to deal with. We have to deal with that every year. Every year we have to deal with some crap that happens like this because we're a low budget team. We don't have a choice. Paul, you look like you have to say something.
I was just looking up some of the stats about Mike Sarbaugh because I know he's a good manager.
Yeah,
I didn't realize how good he is.
I'm surprised you said about not doing anything in-house because Sarbaugh, I feel like a lot of people.
If they do an outside search and there's nothing there, then it's okay. But
let me just throw some stuff at you. I don't want them to go immediately to Sarbaugh either. I want them to make him earn it. But you look at his statistics and you look at his history, he's earned it. Let me just point out, first and foremost, in 2004, he was named the manager of Mahoning Valley for the Scrappers and led them to the championship in his first season. And he did that again in 2010 with the Columbus Clippers AAA team, back-to-back AAA championships, including his rookie season as the AAA manager. This guy's got a track record of taking teams that are on the cusp of greatness and putting them to that next level. You know who else had that same pedigree? Harry Francona. That's why he's on the staff. That's why Tito trusts him.
Fucking championship.
That's why he should be the manager. If it's not going to be Tito, I want Mike Sarbaugh.
Should have won in 2016.
Look, we're going to keep arguing that till the day we all die.
Or until they win a championship, then.
So until the day we all die, it seems like. Because God help us, we've gotten so close and gotten it pulled like the carrot for the horse so many times.
I completely agree with the simple fact that you do interview him as well as other people that you are actually considering for the job. However, as far as managers, coaches, even just our regular standard 9-to-5 jobs, if there's someone that's meant for the position, I'm going to give it to that person. I'll still make it fair. I'll still hear something else, and I will hear that. If I think Paul's the person for the job, but I want to interview Jeff, I'll still listen to you and shit. Don't throw it away, because if you say something crazy that I'm like, okay, maybe this is the one. But I do think that there is nothing wrong with having that pick. I'm playing both sides of this here. I hear what Jeff's saying about actually going
100%.
out, looking to, making sure we're not just homering and just saying, yep, this is the guy. But I also hear what Paul's saying. This dude has delivered championships. So, I mean, that's kind of what I want. So
can I go one step further?
In perspective, I don't want them to do like what Ohio State did with Urban Meyer and just immediately going to Ryan Day.
Right.
Okay, that's fair. But can I give you some perspective on another thing that you're kind of glossing over here?
So
Mike Sarbaugh is going to be a manager somewhere in 2024.
It's something like, Paulie, you just want to go straight to Sarbaugh. Way you're talking,
I would be fine with that.
Yeah, but you're making it sound like you're just like, Tito's okay immediately. That's what makes it sound. And I'm
saying he should be the leading candidate, is what I'm saying. But here's the reason why. The Yankees are possibly going to be looking for a new manager. The Mets are possibly going to be looking for a new manager. That's two of the biggest markets looking for a manager. And you don't think they're looking at somebody like a Mike Sarbaugh and going, he's got a championship pedigree. We've got a pretty good team here, especially if you look at the Yankees. They've got a young team that is starting to find itself later in the season. You put the right guy in front of that team in 2024 who knows how to win championships. It's not Aaron Boone, by the way. Fuck the Yankees. That's scary. I'm more worried about we're going to lose Sarbaugh to another team before we get the chance to put him where he should have been in the first place.
I don't think teams like the New York Yankees or the Mets are even considering a base coach from the Cleveland Guardians.
I'm just saying.
The one thing that I'm going to say is I think the one benefit that would be if you decide to go with Mike Sarbaugh, and the one thing that I am really hoping with whoever the new manager is going to be whenever that happens, they do their damnedest to keep the pitching staff in terms of pitching coaches, because that has been the bread and butter. That has been what has helped this organization over the last however long be a very good organization. And that's my fear of, if you do go, that's my only fear with going with someone outside right now, is they're going to possibly want their guys. And I do not want to see Carl Willis leave. And that would be a benefit, though, to Mike Sarbaugh, saying if he is going to be the new manager, is he's going to be a lot more, I think, adept to keeping that pitching staff in-house and keeping them in Cleveland, which is going to obviously continue with the development. And because it's this whole cycle, where we all know the pitching factory. Who's the hell to say that in a few years, Tanner Bybee, we're going to be able to trade him away, and next thing you know, we have more. Is just this rinse, wash, and repeat when it comes to pitching, and we need to continue that.
Here's what I think is about to happen. And I don't know that I necessarily want this to happen, but I think this is Tito's final season. I think what's going to end up happening is at the end of this season, he's going to announce his official retirement as a manager. He will be immediately named to an executive position in the Cleveland Guardians organization, executive assistant to the general manager type thing, something along those lines. And then he's going to pick his successor. That's what I think is about to happen, because that's how much stock this franchise has put into Terry Francona, that they're going to give him the chance to pick his successor. And I think that's something that, again, we're all overlooking here. Terry Francona has, for better or worse, because I'm not sitting here telling you that I have agreed with everything Terry Francona's ever done, but over the course of history, the bulk of it has been good. And I'm going to trust whatever he decides to do here, because he's not going to leave this franchise in a shamble.
I don't know, man. I think regardless of what happens, unless you just get, it almost feels like lucky. I just got a bad feeling that once Terry leaves, and the other thing too is people who have been absolutely shitting on Tito, once he leaves, I think people are going to really miss him.
I definitely want to say to anyone who watches, and mostly to Paul, because I think Jeff knows where I'm coming from. I'm just giving the guy shit a lot of times. I love Tito Francona. He makes some questionable, pretty much like Paul just said. He does make some questionable decisions sometimes, but hey, I'm not a baseball manager, and he is. So that's all I can say at the end of the day. I do love him. I just love my team, so I always want what's best for my team. I talk shit on all my play. Actually, that's not very true. I don't know. At the end of the day, I do love him. I will miss him. I can guarantee you that before he's fucking gone. I'll tell you that. But I do think that while you can love someone, you can think they're the best player in their position. They can still be better. Always room for improvement.
I can't argue that point. And that's the thing. I'm looking at this purely from the perspective, a perspective of the manager side of things, because we've gone through a lot of guys in the search here. You're basically going from 95 and 97, the Hargrove era, to Francona. Everything in between that has been a waste of time because we didn't get to the World Series and we got bounced in the postseason earlier than we ever expected. And that's where my concern lies, is that with Francona, I know what I'm going to get. Even this season where we're treading water.
The same thing?
We're still in the hunt for the postseason in September.
And this is what drives me back to saying that there's room for improvement and that I don't think he makes all the best decisions. Because you guys say this shit and you worship him, and we don't have a trophy from him.
We don't have a trophy from any manager since 1948.
So we do have a trophy from a manager.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
None of us were alive when that happened.
This is exactly my point. We can be happy. We can rejoice. We can rejoice that he brought us to Game 7 of the World Series. But guess what? We lost that fucking game.
I still just say the fact that we even made it to a Game 7 against probably the best team in baseball that year is incredible.
Look,
I don't won the World Series. They were the best team in baseball that year.
I don't want to go backwards with this franchise. And have you looked at some of the managers in between Hargrove and Francona?
I was thinking about them through my head. So you had what? Joel Skinner.
Yeah.
You had Eric Wedge.
Yeah. And I hate Eric Wedge.
I want the dude from Washington.
No.
I'm trying to think of who else.
Like,
I mean,
do you remember who Terry Francona relieved? Like, who was the manager in 2011, 2012?
No, I don't remember.
Manny Acta, who doesn't have a general clue how the game of baseball is presented. He was so terrible that you watched his games hoping that he ran into a win occasionally. He had the managerial capacity of a goldfish. I don't want these idiots that don't know how to manage this team back in charge. I don't want to deal with this again. I don't want Joel Skinner, Charlie Manuel. I want people like Mike Hargrove and Terry Francona who don't necessarily go completely analytical.
Wasn't Joel Skinner just like kind of like an interim, like was it?
Yes,
Joel Skinner?
he was a throwaway,
like
but he's in the list.
Season?
Yes, at the back end of 02.
That was the first year of the rebuild, right? After that, the run, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, I'm just trying to remember. But yeah,
Lou Boudreau, by the way, was the manager the last time a Cleveland World Series championship trophy was hoisted. He finished his career in Cleveland, by the way, 728 and 649.
To put that in perspective, I would have been negative 51. So I'd have been 51 and the whole years old.
Would your mom have even been born then? No.
In fact, to put this perspective, my grandmother would have only been maybe like 4 or 5. So, but yeah, that's how long it's been. But yeah, listen, here's part of my issue too. And I mean, that game on Saturday, just going back to this for half a second, that game on Saturday, it did bring something back in terms of somewhat excitement. But I mean, you two personally, you know, the bad part about this time is unless you're just going on an absolute run and you know you're about to get ready for the postseason, part of the issue is what happens in September. Football season happens, and there's a lot of fans, and even when, like, you look at, let's say, well, maybe last year was a bad year because of the whole Watson bullshit, whatever. But I mean, there's years where, like, if both teams are good, it's like, yeah, of course you're paying attention to the Indians/Guardians, you know, at that time. But you know how it goes. It's the moment football season goes, people get all into football mode. And it's not just here, it's in a lot of cities too. It's just what happens with football. And that's what sucks. But I mean, I think this weekend did bring some people back. It did bring some people back, or, you know, they're like, okay, hey, maybe I can't just put all of my Guardian stuff away and see you in the end of March and April. But
yeah, the Cavs better do some shit this year.
It would be nice. It would be nice.
A time for both of my young teams to be missing the playoffs and playing like ass.
Yeah, it's I'm interested to see what the Cavs do. The Cavs, they have to make a deep run, or else this is going to be Donovan Mitchell's last year. But I think that might be a different story for a different day. I was going to say, I didn't know if Paulie was frozen, or for those that are watching on YouTube.
Sorry, I was just looking at the all-time Cleveland managerial wins list, and I was looking at the top 4.
Oh, no, Tito is the fucking winningest manager.
That's not what I was getting at.
Single one of us knows.
But the person he passed is Boudreaux. That was the last World Series. Hargrove's behind him in 3rd, and then Tris Speaker, who had the first World Series, is 4th. So if you're talking about greats in our history, that's...
How long did they manage the club?
Tris Speaker ran from 1919 to 1926. Boudreaux from 42 to 50. Hargrove from 91 to 99. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, Francona would be the longest
4
active.
years. So Tito's literally doubling them to get the title of winningest manager. You can write all these the way you want, but I'm not gonna let them I'm not gonna let that happen like that. Like, that's great. That's great. It's cool. It's awesome. He's managed the club for twice as long. You better have more fucking wins. I'm right? Like, I don't know, man.
I'm just saying, that's an interesting fact to me.
This is a real internal conflict with myself. Is Tito really that good? Is he? Because
he's got 2 World Series.
Not for fucking us.
I know, but he's got 2 World Series.
That's where he managed the team at, Paul. Cleveland, Ohio. Like, that's a terrible thing. That's a terrible response. He's got 2 championships before he started managing ball clubs.
That's why we wanted him. At the end of the day,
okay, well,
he had a championship pedigree.
What was he doing before he was the manager?
Not sure I know where you're going with this.
Batting coach. What was he?
I think he was the bench coach.
Okay, well, make him a fucking bench coach. Maybe we'll go win a World Series.
I don't know where to go from there.
Because that's the frustrating part. I don't say this shit just to be shitty or just to hate on Tito. I don't.
I think this is a trend of Justin's, because I know of another Justin who does the same shit too. And he's just doing it to be a hater.
I was just gonna say that. I was like, well, I don't mean to sound like this, but I feel like I have a little bit more backing. But like, I just like I don't know what to say, and I mean it when I say I'm not just saying this just to shit on Tino. He's my fucking manager. I want to love this dude with everything that I am. But these last, I can't even say couple of years because last year was fabulous. I don't know, man. It just hurts. It just hurts because I want it for me as much as I want it for him. I want him to retire with the championship under his belt for Cleveland. I don't want him to do all of this, be the winningest manager ever in Cleveland history, and to not have a fucking chip to go with it. Like, that's disgusting. I want to stress that. I don't say this to be shitty. I say this because I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off for my team. I'm pissed off for him. There's a lot of luck that goes into winning championships, and some people don't understand that.
Yeah, it's not the best team that wins. If it was, then we wouldn't have it. It's just not. It took how many years before we got every first seed in the NCAA Final Four to make it to the Final Four? That had never happened.
This dude's really going to go straight to college sports.
Championship sports in general. It's hard when you put it into a tournament format to win at a consistent level, even when you've been dominating.
Which is supposed to be the point.
The Seattle Mariners are the best example of that. They have the record for the most wins in a single season, and I'm pretty sure they got bounced in the first round.
Also, fuck the Rays.
Do you want to elaborate on that, or do you just want to sweep that under the rug and move on?
But I would. Fuck the Rays. And I feel like I don't. Jose Siri is now in the same list as fucking Lance Lynn. Y'all cocky some bitches can suck it. Bat flip somewhere else, bitch. Go lose the game. That shit made me mad. I don't like that shit. My team can do it, though.
Oh, my God.
Shook his head. I thought he was asleep again. All right.
I'm playing poker and I'm staring into both of your guys' and all the viewers' souls to figure out what you guys are playing in Texas Hold'em.
Go fish.
I have 3 nuggets.
I raised 1 steak.
Bro, I have nugget steaks.
I think that worked out well for us.
He's like, I raised you 2,000.
All in.
Do you just want to speak to everyone for a quick second? I know we've been off the air for almost 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
I had some real life things going on. I had some issues with my kids going on. Got to focus on that sometimes. So I do want to apologize to y'all for missing out on the past couple weeks. However, the other side of that too is the Guardians fucking suck. So they haven't really been giving us a whole lot to talk about. So it's been a little bit of a rough month for me. And as well as I'm sure anyone who's listening knows, everyone has stuff going on. So Paul's got stuff going on. Jeff has stuff going on. So do want to apologize, and also would like to thank everyone that is listening and that continues to listen. I'm going to steal Paul's thunder because it is Double Play CLE's 5-year anniversary. Oh man, yesterday at this point.
No, it's still technically today. It was the Tuesday, September 4th, 5 years ago.
Okay, so yeah, it is the 5-year anniversary of Double Play CLE today, which I think actually ended up boosting us into actually making an episode today because we decided no.
Going to
what's the word?
Insider baseball on everyone real quick. But pretty much it was pretty much going behind the scenes real quick. What happened was we were waiting on responses from Paulie for a little bit. Then we were deciding what the hell is going to happen. Then
Jeff.
Yeah, because
then Paul had announced that it was the 5-year anniversary. And then Jeff put one fucking GIF that literally said on off. And Paul's like, we're doing a show. So here we are. So right decision. We should. So just want to just shout out to everyone that follows, listens, shares, talks about us. anything like that, anything and everything is awesome and greatly appreciated. Shout out to Papa Kev for allowing us to do this on his platform. Shout out to Jeff for always being there in support. That's about it.
And I'll say this. I want to give, obviously, a shout out to you two, because you two were the reason why I was able to start doing with what I'm doing now, where I was able to start off with the Jeff Kirby project on multiple platforms, and now I'm doing the Renegade Roundtable. So obviously, everything that I've been able to do, obviously started with you guys. So obviously I always hold that near and dear to my heart, and I thank you guys so much for that.
It's always been kind of surreal and fun to me that I get to hang out with my friends and talk about sports, which is something that we do anyways. Just doing it in front of a camera and people listening in or watching and going, hey, I agree with them. Or, hey, they're idiots. I don't think they know what they're talking about. And then we get to combat back. We would love to at some point make this a live show. That is our goal again. Because when Double Play CLE first launched, it was a live product. It's a lot tougher in this day and age to do a live podcast. Even the great podcasts that are out there struggle to make live happen. So us who've been going for 5 years on and off, and 14 episodes now with Believe Land Media LLC, it's a tough one, and we're trying because we want to interact with all of you that are listening and watching. Yeah. That is our favorite thing.
Because another thing too, talking personal for me real quick, and we're going to get into something else here in a minute, I think, at least, is, without you guys, I wouldn't, currently I do YouTube now, which I never thought I would do or would know how to do. In my career, I've gotten over probably 250,000 views on everything that I've done, which is incredible. You guys gave me an opportunity of someone. I was 19 years old. I was a college student at 19 years old when I got to start doing this. So, and I remember going to work, and everyone thought that was the coolest shit ever. And it's changed my life because it's also put me in a better mindset of how I handle myself as well. Because I have to, when you're in this, because you never know if you're going to, and obviously the goal is always to get big. And you never know, like, when you get to that level, or if you get to that level, you always got to watch out, because you don't want someone to have something on you that is, well, I guess in this day and age, be a part of cancel culture, which I still think is the dumbest shit ever. But, and that goes not just for us three, but that goes for absolutely anyone. If you ever want to get into this platform, get into sports media, or get into anything like this, one thing to do, if you go on social media, scrub all the bullshit that you think might be cancel culture worthy, go and scrub that shit now. That's
it's actually funny that you mentioned that, because Believe Land Media LLC is actually looking for writers right now. So if you're interested in covering high school or local college sports, contact Kevin Sluds of Believe Land Media LLC, and he'll get the ball rolling with you and get you going into a great and exciting future.
Anyone who's listening to that, by the way, and is like maybe just thinking about doing it, and you hear something like high school sports and you go, I don't know if that's necessarily something I would want to cover. That's how you get started. That's how you get into the industry. And that's
absolutely.
You get other opportunities from there. So just saying, it may sound like a little like I don't want to go cover high school football. If this is something you're interested in, just try it once. I guarantee you'll like it. I can guarantee you'll like it.
Yeah.
It's something you're interested in.
Guys like Jim Donovan, who people absolutely love in the city of Cleveland, started out doing. He started out. Everyone starts out real, they start out real low, and you make your way up and up and up, and that's how you grow. So no opportunity. I got to, cover the Crushers. Yes, they're a very low rated team, but it's like still, that's a really cool opportunity, and you continue to do that, then that could lead to another and another and another and another. No opportunity is ever too small.
And don't be afraid to take a chance. That's something I've definitely learned in the last 5 years is if you really want something, go for it.
I like how this turned into a 15-minute TED Talk, but hey, sometimes if this, I make a joke about that, but I mean, in all seriousness, if we could inspire one person, you've made it. What you have done is worth it.
Hey,
And that's in
importantly, I
everything in
inspired
life.
one. So, before we get out of here, two little things. First and foremost, we do have to talk about the Browns because it is opening week of the NFL. I'm not going to get into a big preview on that. There are other podcasts on Believe Land Media that are doing that. So, what I'm going to ask, and we're going to go around the table, quote unquote, all I want is your predicted win-loss record for the 2023 Cleveland Browns. Who wants to start?
I'll give you a quick one for probably the whole entire AFC North.
How many games do we play now?
17.
Bad year, 6-11. Good year, let's flip it around, 11-6.
I've got him going 6-11. I don't think there's a lot of cohesion yet, and there's still question marks in places that there don't need to be.
I think exactly what you just said, except I think the question marks can potentially be really good.
The fact that we were talking about bringing a retired kicker out of retirement.
Oh, shut
and
up.
He's been out of, how long's he been retired? A decade and a half now? It's been a while.
Hold on, time out, Paulie. If you're, and this is coming from a Steeler fan here, if you're meaning to tell me you really believed in that, and that's just not fans just saying God knows
You don't
whatever.
think that if they had thrown enough money at him, he wouldn't have done it?
Phil Dawson said it. Phil Dawson said, "If you need me, I'm right around the corner."
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have we heard Terrell Owens say that? And that dude's been in the league, how long?
How many times did we hear Gronk say it and he went and fucking did it?
Yeah, Gronk was also out of the league maybe 1 year. That's a whole different ball game than between.
I'm just talking about a kicker here. I'm not talking about a tight end.
Wait. There's something that kind of ties Terrell Owens and Gronk together. They have ego, and they're borderline crazy. You can't say that about Phil Dawson. He's been kind of that guy that was like the greatest kicker in the history of the Cleveland Browns that wasn't Luke Rosa.
Didn't Phil Dawson stay with the Browns his whole career?
No.
Yeah.
He went to Arizona, and then he was, because he was let go. Then he went to Arizona, then he went to San Fran.
He's the Bernie Kosar. You'll know him predominantly from Cleveland.
All right. I'm going to go one step further on something real quick. I'm going to take about 2 minutes. I'm going to do the quickest of breakdowns, in my opinion, on the AFC North.
So cold already.
Huh?
My food is so cold already.
Well, you can still eat. You can still eat. It's okay. So I'm going to say this. In terms of the Browns, my biggest question for me is going to be obviously Deshaun Watson and how is the defense, how is Jim Schwartz going to have the defense looking? Because that is going to be a huge thing. Defense last year was obviously a travesty, but that also had to do with Joe Woods. So I'm curious to see what that's going to look like, because if Jim Schwartz can do something on that defense, then I think you're really onto something. Baltimore, my biggest question for them is, can Lamar Jackson, how is he going to hold up against in that Todd Monken passing offense? Lamar Jackson's about to be in a passing offense that he has never been a part of before. He's not going to pass as much as he's going to now that he has in his career. And obviously, I have questions for the first time in a decade about their defense. Cincinnati, I really don't have a whole lot of questions about them. It's just, how is the offensive line going to be able to actually keep Joe Burrow upright? And then for the Steelers, I mean, as much as the Pickett hype's been great, I love it. I want to see what he does in a real life game, and I want to see how the offensive line looks. So that's my real quick breakdown on the AFC North. I could go in way more in depth, but I'm not going to do that. We've been going too long, and it's currently 2:30 in the morning.
Wow, we're just peeling back the curtain in so many different layers tonight.
You know, that's what I do when I'm on. I just peel curtains. Pause.
Duly noted. You didn't, however, give us the win-loss record for the Cleveland Browns in 2023.
I'm gonna go 10-7.
Wow.
I'm gonna say I will say this. I think Baltimore is going to be last in the division, but I still think they're going to go in 8-9, 9-8. They're going to be one right around that range. I think Browns are going to go 10-7. I think Steelers at the very best. I think it's going to be 10-7. I think it's going to be right around there. So they're going to be tied. It's just a matter of who's going to win the tiebreaker. And then obviously I have Cincinnati winning at probably about 12-5.
You triggered Jay.
And that's fine.
You didn't trigger me at all. There's just no way you truly think the Steelers are going 10-7 this year. You're fucking out your mind.
Mike Tomlin has never allowed his. They started 2-6 last year. They went 7-2 down the stretch.
Only reason you guys fucking got a winning record is because you played the shithole Browns for your last fucking game that didn't give a shit. It's a fact, and anyone that doesn't say that's true is lying. And I
mean, listen. Here's the fact that I have. When you look at what the upgrades that Omar Khan and Andy Weidel have made within the organization, they went out. They completely reboosted the linebacking core. They went out and extended Alex Highsmith. They went out and revamped that secondary even more. They went out and got one of the best offensive guards in football, and Isaac Seumalo from the Eagles. I mean, with what they've been able to do, they've improved vitally. And they were 9-8 last year and fighting for a playoff spot, and they were very close. I know close, but no. I love my cigars, but no close, but no cigar. They did not make it. But the amount of improvements, how much of the media has been saying that they won the draft according to. Now I understand, whatever, but with the draft that they have had, the amount of impact guys that they're going to have, especially in the middle rounds, and then on top of that, the improvements that you've made of free agency, on top of Kenny Pickett having a whole nother year, how can you not say, unless you're being an absolute hater, and I am calling out every single Browns fan, if I'm being heel here, I am being heel. Unless you're just going to be a Ken Carman hater, because if Ken Carman wants to say, he's literally been talking about how he's obsessed.
Who's your number one receiver?
George Pickens, which this year, he's probably our number one.
11-7 for sure, bro. Better hope Najee's running out of his fucking mind. And I sure hope he does, because I picked him up in fantasy.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, last year,
what fantasy league are you in?
A free league.
Last year, that was a whole weird situation. I mean, he played well down the stretch, but the way that Mike Tomlin handled that last preseason game, there was no reason why he should have been in that Lions game, and he missed he was not healthy that first half of the year with that Liz Frank injury. So, but yeah.
Also, Mike Tomlin's a cheat. I don't really like him.
But I wouldn't like him either if he beat my team's ass all the time too. No. So I mean,
I said he was a cheat. I don't give him shit about him beating the Browns. I give a shit about that thing he did when he was standing on the sideline and acting like he didn't know he was on the fucking football field. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. I didn't know. I'm a great head coach, but I don't know where I'm at on the fucking football field.
Cool. One thing from 10, 12 years ago.
I'm sorry, cool. I don't have all his events in my calendar, Jeff. I don't fucking follow the Steelers, but I remember him cheating in a playoff game. That's all I gotta say.
It wasn't even a playoff game, by the way, too.
Was it not?
No.
No, I think it was regular season.
He cheated in a regular season game?
Wasn't it against Baltimore?
Yes. And I'm pretty sure he got fined for that, too, so.
Why the hell do I know that?
He got fined. Oh,
because, I mean, that is an infamous place or an infamous moment. So, obviously, that's
4 fucking games for taking a kid to lunch.
Wait, what?
Oh, don't wait what me like you don't know what I'm talking about. Paul?
I'll let
No,
you.
no. I like zoned out for half a second and didn't hear what you said. Because again, it is 2:30 in the morning.
I'm waiting to eat my food. You wanted to go on about the AFC North.
North. The North. The ghetto of the NFL.
I don't think any way, unless Joe Burrow's hurt. / if the Ravens just implode. Okay. Unless the Browns suck like they always do, the Ravens implode, or Joe Burrow gets fucked, I don't see there's any way that the Steelers don't finish fourth. Simply because I'm not being a hater here. I took Najee Harris and the Steelers defense. I took both those in my fantasy league. So I just don't see, because Steelers defense is absolutely out of their minds, always is. I don't see that Steelers team being better than those other three teams at full capacity. I don't. And I mean that respectfully. I feel like you can give me that when I want to talk sports without being homerish, I can. And I don't see that team being more than the fourth best team than those other four if they're all running at full capacity.
Here would be my rebuttal to that.
In full capacity is Deshaun Watson playing top 5 quarterback again.
Oh, what I was about to say had nothing to do with the Browns. I mean, at the start at least. My biggest thing is I have questions about Baltimore's defense, first and foremost. B, is Lamar Jackson actually going to stay healthy? That's become a thing, and that has become...
Is George Pickens?
last year he did. But, I mean, the thing is, when you talk about there's been a history now of Lamar Jackson getting it, and that is literally... I don't trust their run game, even with what they were... as much as I love J.K. Dobbins doesn't do a whole lot for me. Gus Edwards? Who the hell is Gus Edwards? And then everyone... what's funny is this whole story that's been going on about the Baltimore Ravens wide receiver core.
I'll take Gus the Bus over fucking... Gus the Bus is my first on the Ravens, in my opinion, over Dobbins, easily.
I think I would rather have Dobbins, but...
They almost won their playoff game with Tyler Huntley, Jeff. Tyler fucking Huntley, who the fuck is that?
As I was getting a text message.
How are you getting messages at this time of the morning? Like, that's
Do you not
ridiculous.
know who I am? I get messages all throughout the night.
The NFL season for your Cleveland Browns kicks off at 1 o'clock this Sunday afternoon in Cleveland Browns Stadium on the lake against the Cincinnati Bengals. And for those of you who are Spectrum subscribers, you will not be seeing the Monday Night Football game of the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets because Spectrum sucks.
However, what I do want to say,
so terrible.
What I will say about that is because this would, I think, affect the Browns week 2 because the Browns Steelers play Monday Night Football. However, if I'm not mistaken, that game's actually going to be on ABC, which you're a Spectrum member is okay. You said what?
Yeah, ABC, last I checked, is still not working either.
Are you sure about that?
I'm double checking it right now. No, ABC's fine, so you'll have to watch it on channel.
I know, if I'm not mistaken, there's one other channel that is not. I know, if I'm not mistaken, Fox is not working with DirecTV.
Yes. Fox is out on DirecTV. Spectrum pulled the Disney-owned channels.
So yeah.
Best of luck to everybody trying to find the game that they're trying to watch.
So if I'm not mistaken, you should be okay as of now with the ABC. So you should be okay with being able to watch that Monday night game. So
I'm sure that the NFL would love that you subscribe to NFL Plus or NFL Sunday Ticket or some garbage like that.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you have NFL Sunday Ticket through YouTube TV, then that's whatever. Or if you have NFL Plus and you are in Cleveland, you will not be able to watch that Browns Steelers game because you are in market. So if you were outside of the Cleveland market and that, then you would be able to. But
we're going to table this discussion for another episode, but why are the blackout restrictions in sports so goddamn stupid? Like, this is obviously a streaming era. You need to be on streaming platforms. Otherwise, you're not going to be seen. But we'll table that possibly for the next episode. I'll probably pencil that one in. What I do want to get to before we get out of here, it's my one thing. Our one thing that could happen in the next 7 days. We'll start with Justin, who's muted.
You just made us give a record for the Browns.
I know. I was getting my one thing, and then we'll be out the door. It's our gimmick. It's our thing. We always do it at the end of our shows. Positivity.
The Guardians will at least one game this week.
Yes, that's incredibly positive.
Positive as I am. If I say 2, we'll only win 1.
That's fair.
My one thing is I think the Guardians will take 2 of 3 from the Twins.
Okay, I like that.
My
one thing is that the returning Josh Naylor will hit a walk-off home run this week. That's my positive moment for the week. And of course,
that's why you're
I go for the gusto.
Whatever.
And quickly want to send our condolences to the families of Terry Funk, Bray Wyatt, Bob Barker, and Jimmy Buffett. We've lost a lot of good people in the span of a week and a half here, so hug your loved ones because it's been a rough week. And we need some Guardians love. We need some Cleveland love because we're heading into a rough patch of the season. And with that, we say goodbye, so long, farewell. We will see you again soon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Paul. He's Jay. Our guest, Jeff Kirby, who you can catch on the Renegade Roundtable. He does his Pittsburgh Steelers thing. He also does a hell of a job covering the NFL draft. So if you ever want any NFL draft insight, he's one of my big go-tos for that.
Boy, you're like a couple weeks late on that, Paul.
Or a couple weeks early.
He's just now starting on 2025, so
a couple fucking months early.
He started 2025 draft like yesterday or the day before, so
it's ironic. I'm actually joining it. I'm going to be a guest on a draft show later this week, so
my God. Good night, everybody. We will see you again very soon.